The haunted Trinity College, Dublin, Ireland's most chilling university. Trinity College in Dublin is known around the world for its magnificent architecture, centuries of academic excellence, and the priceless Book of Kells. Every day, thousands of visitors admire its historic courtyards and the breathtaking long-room library. To most people, it is simply one of Ireland's greatest landmarks. But when the sun disappears behind the ancient stone buildings and the last footsteps fade through the gates, many believe Trinity College reveals another side of its history, one that has been hidden for more than 400 years. Countless ghost stories, unexplained encounters, and eerie legends have surrounded these grounds for generations, leaving many to wonder whether the past has ever truly left this place. Founded in 1592 by Queen Elizabeth I, Trinity College has witnessed centuries of Irish history. Wars, political conflicts, deadly epidemics, tragic accidents, and the passing of countless students and scholars have all left their mark on the campus. Every stone wall has absorbed stories of ambition, heartbreak, and untimely death. While historians focus on the college's remarkable achievements, local legends suggest that not every soul who entered these halls was ready to leave them behind. Some believe the spirits of former students and professors continue wandering the campus, forever tied to the place where they devoted their lives to knowledge. The most famous location within Trinity College is the spectacular old library, home to the iconic Long Room. During daylight hours, its endless rows of towering oak bookshelves create a sense of wonder. Ancient books line the shelves from floor to ceiling, while marble busts of great philosophers silently watch over visitors. But those who have worked inside the library after dark often tell a very different story. They describe hearing slow footsteps echoing through empty aisles, despite every entrance being locked. Some claim they have heard the unmistakable sound of books being placed back onto shelves when no one else was inside. Others insist they have heard pages turning on their own, as though an invisible reader continued studying long after death. One of the oldest legends tells of a brilliant young scholar who studied at Trinity during the 18th century. He was admired for his intelligence but slowly became consumed by an obsession with uncovering forbidden knowledge hidden within rare manuscripts. As months passed, he isolated himself from friends and spent nearly every night inside the library, refusing to leave until he discovered what he believed was the ultimate secret buried within ancient texts. Then, without warning, he vanished. Despite extensive searches throughout the college, no trace of him was ever found. The only thing discovered was his notebook lying open beside an extinguished candle. On its final page were the unfinished words, "I finally understand what waits beyond." The sentence ended abruptly, and no explanation was ever given. Years later, security guards began reporting sightings of a pale young man dressed in outdated academic clothing wandering silently through the long room. Witnesses say he slowly walks between the towering bookshelves carrying several ancient books in his arms. Whenever someone tries to approach him or speak, he disappears into the darkness between the shelves. Some believe the mysterious figure is the missing scholar, still searching endlessly for the knowledge that consumed his life centuries ago. Others dismiss the stories as tricks of tired minds, yet the sightings continue to this day. Night staff have also reported hearing whispers inside the library after midnight. At first, the voices seem distant, almost impossible to understand. But the longer someone remains inside, the clearer they become. Several employees claimed they heard someone quietly reading passages from old books in Latin, despite standing completely alone in locked rooms. One former librarian later admitted that whenever the whispering began, she would immediately leave the building rather than discover where the voices were coming from. According to an old warning passed between staff members, if you ever hear someone softly reading behind you after midnight, never answer the voice. Beyond the library, Trinity's historic corridors have earned an unsettling reputation of their own. Maintenance workers and overnight cleaners have occasionally described walking through hallways that somehow appeared much longer than they should have been. Doors seemed to move to different positions, windows vanished without explanation, and familiar passages suddenly became confusing labyrinths. One electrician reportedly spent what felt like nearly half an hour trying to reach an exit that was normally only a few steps away. When he finally emerged outside, his watch showed that more than 3 hours had mysteriously disappeared. No one could explain where that lost time had gone. Among Trinity's oldest ghost stories is the legend of the Grey Lady. Numerous witnesses have described seeing an elderly woman dressed in a long grey Victorian gown quietly crossing one of the college's stone courtyards late at night. She walks with slow, graceful steps, never looking toward anyone who notices her. Just before reaching an old doorway, her figure simply fades into the darkness as though she had never been there at all. Historians have never identified exactly who she may have been, but many believe she could be connected to one of Dublin's devastating outbreaks of disease, when grief and death became part of everyday life within the city. Security officers have experienced some of the strangest encounters on campus. Several have reported hearing footsteps following them during overnight patrols. Whenever they stop walking, the footsteps stop as well. The moment they begin moving again, the invisible footsteps return, always remaining just a short distance behind. More than one guard has admitted that despite searching every nearby room and hallway, they never found another person. The sensation of being watched became so overwhelming for some that they refused to patrol certain buildings alone after midnight. Perhaps the most disturbing account comes from a retired night watchman who worked at Trinity College for nearly 20 years. One cold winter evening, while checking classrooms before locking the building, he noticed bright lights shining beneath the door of a lecture hall that was supposed to be empty. Believing students had remained inside after hours, he unlocked the door and stepped into the room. To his astonishment, every seat appeared occupied by silent figures dressed in dark academic robes. None of them moved or acknowledged his presence. As he reached for the light switch, the room suddenly went dark for only a brief second. When the lights returned, every chair was completely empty. There was no sound of doors opening, no footsteps leaving the room, and no sign that anyone had ever been there. Deeply shaken, the watchman filed an unusual report before eventually retiring, refusing to discuss the incident ever again. Even visitors have shared stories of strange experiences within Trinity College. Some report sudden drops in temperature on warm summer evenings. Others describe feeling as though someone is quietly standing behind them while exploring the long room, only to discover no one there when they turn around. Photographers have occasionally captured unexplained shadows, strange mists, or blurred human shapes in pictures taken throughout the campus. While experts often attribute these images to lighting effects or camera imperfections, believers see them as evidence that unseen residents still roam the ancient grounds. Skeptics argue that Trinity College's ghost stories are simply the result of centuries of folklore combined with old architecture, echoing hallways, fatigue, and the power of suggestion. Ancient wooden floors naturally creak, stone corridors amplify distant sounds, and dim lighting can easily create convincing illusions. Yet even those who dismiss the supernatural often admit there is something undeniably unsettling about walking through Trinity's silent halls after midnight. The atmosphere itself seems heavy with history, as though every wall remembers the lives that once passed through it. Whether these chilling stories are genuine paranormal encounters or legends carefully preserved across generations remains impossible to prove. But one fact cannot be denied: Trinity College has stood at the heart of Dublin for more than 4 centuries, witnessing countless lives, triumphs, tragedies, and untold secrets. Perhaps some memories become so deeply woven into a place that they never truly disappear. And if you ever find yourself standing alone inside the endless silence of the long room late at night, listening to footsteps slowly approaching from somewhere between the ancient bookshelves, you may discover that not every student who entered Trinity College ever found their way home.